Go Caps are here already. Well, hello, boys and girls. It's when we feel like it o'clock. I'm Pearlo, and this is Payton on the radio. We got our ties on, get looking all spiffy, coming to you live from the Seattle apartment here in Alberta, Canada. Funny how that works. And this is Payton's in the Calgary area. So we had some very interesting games we're going to talk about last night. We had the Panarin stuff. I guess we'll delve into that, whatever you can get into with that, because there's not really much to talk about. No, it's because there's so much we don't know. Go Caps, hockey, NHNR, and Jacket are in the house already. Woo! One more person too. Make yourself well known. Let us know who you are, what you're doing out there. Talk to us. Tell us everything you want to tell us. What we were talking about before we got on here was we were talking about goaltenders that may go to Seattle, and who would we pick, and which teams are going to need to get some players for, or some, will trade their goaltenders away before the draft so they don't get picked up for nothing and all that kind of stuff like that. So the first thing that came to our minds was Jake Allen, right? No. I lost you there for a bit. Keep on going. Yeah, you're back. You're back. Yep. Yeah, go ahead. I'm trying to find you again. We had some more technical difficulties. Uh, Go ahead, keep on talking. People can still see us. Yep. Very, very slow for some. Wow. What is going on? Hmm. Okay. Okay, here we go. Every you should be able to see me now, right? Can you hear us now? Oh, you know what? Let me go to my thing here. Maybe we don't. Oh, okay, that's why. NDI source. The NDI sources maybe are mixed up. Okay, try talking. Go ahead, speak. Can you hear me?
Heyo,
There we
guys.
go.
Hopefully, you
Should
guys
be
can
good to
hear me
go.
now.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, they should be able to hear you now. No problems. Okay.
Perfect.
Oh, he just subscribed to you, Go Caps. Even though they couldn't hear you, they subscribed to you. That's how cool they are. So, anyways, getting back to what we were saying. Jeez, now I got to add all my stuff again so I can know my cap friendly and all that goodness. Uh, so let's go down here. We got the Tampa Bay Lightning. McElhaney probably won't be that sought after. Uh, the St. Louis
No.
Blues, they got Ville Husso won't be available. I don't know who. They're going to have to actually probably acquire a goaltender in order to have one.
Yeah.
Uh, Sorokin
Well, yeah.
Sorokin won't be
What's
available for the Islanders. They'll leave Vancouver.
well? I think then one of the AHL guys, they'll have to pick up somebody from the AHL that's had some NHL
Yeah,
time then, because I think that's what like the New York Islanders formerly did when they had Berube or whatever on the
yeah.
team there. They just left him exposed, and that's what Vegas picked up from New York Islanders a while back. Because what's the rules here? One goalie who's under contract in 2021-22 or will be a restricted free agent at the end of his current contract. The team elects to make a restricted free agent goalie available. Meet this requirement, the goalie must have received his qualifying offer. Blah blah blah. The players with potential career, oh yeah, with career injuries. Um, yeah, do not see anything about games for goalies, but I know for defensemen has to play at least 40 NHL games prior to the season or played in at least 70 NHL games, 2 seasons
Hmm.
if they are available.
Yeah, so that's quite a bit when you're looking at who's going to be available. Uh, I wonder, actually, there might not be as many goaltenders as we thought available when you look at that. Riddich, who looks like he's playing a lot better, maybe. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, I
What
mean,
happened to Riddick? By the way, he was garbage, and then all of a sudden now he seems to be stopping pucks.
it was well that the night against Toronto there. I mean, they had Matthews, Marner, and Tavares, and that was like I think the only line they had last night. They were missing Muzzin, they were missing Simmons. Thornton was out of the lineup there for Toronto in that game. So I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't say it was a good win there for Calgary, but it wasn't the greatest. Me and my buddy Calvin were actually talking about it, and he said that it wasn't like um the greatest achievement there for the Flames. It was the right step, but we'll see how they do in their next game against Toronto. Especially since Toronto's been dealing with so many injuries right now. I mean, they have a long list of injuries from both of their best goalies in Campbell and Anderson being out. I think Hyman was also out. Muzzin, Sandine, Simmons, Thornton. They just have a whole
Well,
list of injuries there in
the
Toronto.
big one was Hutchinson being in net. I mean,
Oh
you
yeah.
can't
Well, and then also not having
Hutchinson's.
Zach Hyman.
Yeah, Zach Hyman, but I mean, they could probably live with all of that, but they can't live with Hutchinson in net. I mean, simple as that. That guy can't stop pucks. He's not an NHL goaltender at all, really. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be the biggest problem. Um, see, Anaheim. See, Miller would retire before he'd go to Seattle. I imagine. I could be wrong, but why do you want him at 40 years old as a expansion franchise? Uh, Dallas Stars, Hudobin. It almost seems inevitable that they let Hudobin go now, right? Unless
I
they
mean,
trade him because they've got. I mean, that kid looks like he's going to be all right.
you either keep Bishop or you keep Hadubin, and you kind of locked up. See, that would be tough because you either go with the injury-riddled Ben
That's
Bishop
true.
and you risk having to play Jake Ottinger
Yeah.
full time next year because Bishop once again goes down with another injury. Then you're gonna have to rely on the young kid. What I would do, but I mean Ben Bishop does have a no movement clause, so that is gonna be a big issue
Yeah.
for Dallas. So that means Hodubin will be left open, and Bishop, they might have to figure out something.
Yeah.
They
If
might.
they
Bishop's still a
can
great
convince
goalie,
him,
just
if
his
they can convince him
injuries.
to waive his no trade, assuming that Seattle's not going
Mhm.
to take an injury riddled $5 million goaltender, maybe they could do that, or they could make a deal with Seattle to not take Bishop so they can do that and they can keep all of them. But I have a feeling they're just going to let Hudobin go. Mostly because, I mean, he already had a falling out with the coach. I mean, that may not make that much of a big deal after a while, I guess. I might be playing a little more in there than it really is. But
Um, Another goalie who's been doing great, Chris Dredger. The Panthers
yeah, Chris
hockey
Driger.
news report was saying about Dredger or Allen, which he's been doing great this season. 7-1, 929 save percentage, especially since they won't be able to get rid of Bob there. I think he's stuck on a no movement clause, so you'll most likely have to your backup in Dredger, who's actually been kind of the starting goalie there for Florida, the late.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's
But
maybe.
I would put, I
Oh,
mean,
excuse
does
me.
Bob Borowski probably has a no movement clause, right?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Because that would be the play.
Yeah,
Because nobody's taking that contract right now. Nobody. Not in a million years. And then you
not
got
even Kraken.
Halak in Boston.
Yeah,
Uh, Rene would be the one probably. Nobody's going to take that. Nobody wants Reimer. Maybe I think, but this time I think if
Columbus. You have
Corpusalo, you're not going to let Merzlikins
the
go.
Corpusalo's been. Corpusalo's hasn't been great, anyways.
No,
I would
no.
even probably touch if I was Seattle. I would even touch Corpusalo. His inconsistency, he hasn't really proven himself over the years to be kind of that guy that could step up. Especially there in Columbus, he's really showed that he really can't be that starting goalie there. So I would even touch Corpusalo. If I was Seattle, I would try going after Dredger, especially with how good of a season he's been having.
Yeah,
And
Drigger for sure would be
yeah,
Seattle Kraken, almost guaranteed. Unless, what else do they have on their
I
lineup that they're
guess
going to
Arizona,
take?
you have Ronta, but you would have to re-sign Ronta if you want to
That's
bring
going to be
him
the big
in.
one, yes. But I mean, look at how injured that dude is. My gosh, he's injured far more than he plays. He's injured again. That's the problem with Ranta. He can't stay off the
Hmm.
injured list. Yeah, Allen.
I think that's what I would go with. I think those are your two best reliable options, unless Colin, because Frank Coons wasn't too bad. Columbus there as well. Yeah, um, he wouldn't be a bad idea too if you're going to go for like that third string goalie,
Yeah,
maybe to develop later on in the future. Because Columbus does there. I know they have Tarasov, who's a nice young prospect for them. The guy that we just mentioned there. They got a whole stockpile of goalies there in Columbus, at least. And then you also have Ben Lyman as well there in Columbus,
you could take
and that young
maybe
prospect there as well, and
to
Tarasov.
Smith in Pittsburgh, possibility for the third string and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
thought
Yeah,
there was actually going to be more, and
that'd be a
this
bad idea for them.
there could be even less. Like Florida could trade Drigger to somebody beforehand. I don't know where he would go. Pretty much wherever Drigger would go, though,
Yeah.
he would be now. So he's gonna go. Unless somebody takes him as their number one. So there he's gonna go. San Jose, you get Dubnik or whatever. That seems to be the two. It's Allen and Drigger would be my hope. I hope they're there. Not a bad combination. Drigger looks like the Bennington of now, like the new Bennington almost.
He is. He is honestly came out making his first appearance there with Florida, and he's just kind of he's took the role and he's done a great job with it. I've actually been surprised. I always felt like when Drigger was starting. I felt like Florida was going to lose, but he's going off of last year. He was 7-2 last year, and he keeps improving from the year he had before into this year, and he's been beating the Bay. Carolina, Dallas, he held them to 1 goal against, which that Dallas Florida game, Florida shot the puck 55 times against Hudobin. My lord, the guy is 34 years old and is like the best goalie in this league right now in Hudobin, keeping the Dallas Stars alive. Because my lord,
Yeah.
what a game that was. Florida was peppering high quality chances too, and the Dallas Stars weren't doing anything to keep him in that
Yeah.
game. Hudobin was just absolutely insane all night long in
Yeah, you
that
gotta
game.
look at everything for some reason. I don't know why that I did that.
Yeah, for me, you're lagging really, really hard.
Oh, we're fine now, he said. Okay. Um, Dallas Stars
Okay, sweet.
will our yesterday's games. I think it's a good thing to go to now. We'll go to that now. Since we solved the Ron Francis, I know you're listening. So we just saved Ron Francis a whole lot of time talking to scouts and all that garbage. You know, just like that. Boom, you're done. You got your goaltenders. Right? Right. See if it sets back up again. Okay, here we go again. Are we cutting in and out anymore? Can everybody hear us all right? We had 33 playbacks. We had more playbacks when we were gone than when we're here. Who's still out there? Is anybody still out there? Okay.
I think we're back. I think.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Let's
looks
just
back.
keep it going. Uh,
Yeah, yep, back. I'll post it up on Twitter quickly.
oh, that's right. I didn't even do that yet. I'm going to get in trouble again. Uh, I'm going to bring up the games from last night.
Yeah, the Hockey News Report and CL is in here,
Yeah.
and
Stick
it
it.
sounds way better.
Sticking with this. Okay, good. All right. I'll get on. We'll get on here. We'll start talking about the games from last night. Um, Still moving a little slow, but not so bad. Um, what was the first? What was the? Oh, okay. Let's start. Let's just start with the what because we were already talking about the Stars,
Yeah.
the Panthers and Stars. Um, this was I didn't know what to do with this game because you had a game. The Panthers were playing 5 games in 7 nights,
Mm-hmm.
which is cray cray, right?
Yeah.
No team should win when you're playing 5 games against 7 nights against another NHL team.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the
Totally.
Stars hadn't played for like 6 games, seven
Mm-hmm.
games. They had rust.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it. Honestly, I watched this game near the third period there, and they definitely didn't look like they were in the system that they were supposed to be in with Rick Bonus. They were allowing a lot of shots on Kudobin as well, which is the usual for Dallas. But Florida had 52 shots a night. Um, it was of a night there for the Florida Panthers. But the biggest thing that I think the Dallas Stars are still dealing with is the injury bug, and especially not playing a lot of games right now, but dealing with COVID and not just that, the weather delays, and it's just been a whole list of stuff that Dallas has already been going through to start off this season. It's been a rough start, and this game was rough for them. Florida was out there running and gunning. They were really playing a hard game. They weren't laying it off. Florida did look very, very tired, especially near the end of the game. And you could see them playing that a defensive style of game near the end.
Yeah.
Um, but honestly, they were teeing people up at the point, and that's how they were scoring their goals, is just getting bodies to the net. And that's what you really have to do against Khudobin, because he's a great goalie. There's no
Hmm.
doubt about that, especially when they play in their system that they usually play in. It is very, very hard to beat Khudobin there. So good game by the Florida Panthers. And I mean, we keep talking. A lot of people have been talking about how well the Florida Panthers been this year. 12-3-2 to start off the year. They're first place in the Central Division right now. That division's looking scary. Like you have Florida, Carolina, and Tampa Bay. Then you also have Chicago somehow in there as well. So it's a very scary division, especially with Florida doing how well they are now.
Hmm.
It's a scary team.
Yeah, I mean that one was a real tester for me to see with this Florida team. Okay, you've done well. We got you. All right. But what are you going to do when you're playing 5 games in 7 nights against a big, solid Dallas team that,
Yep.
and they came through in flying colors. But I still am not sure because, like you said, Dallas didn't. Dallas, there's something like they're just having troubles, Dallas, with Sagan being out.
Yeah.
There's a few players still out for them. Jamie Benn's back, right?
Yeah.
But
Jamie Benn was back in the lineup.
but Sagan being out, there's a couple more too. I'm trying
Yeah.
to
There's
show
Radulov and Johns is out the
Radulov. That's a
lineup.
big one. Radulov
Hmm.
and Sagan, and there we had that little mix up with Hudobin earlier, whatever he did there. Um, and I don't know. They're very inconsistent, and I guess that can be blamed on all of the things that we're saying. However, I'm not sure I want to really buy into Dallas so far this year. Are you?
Um, I see when they went to the Stanley Cup Finals. I said right after when they lost, I'm like, they're not gonna make it back there unless they were able to pull off what they were able to pull off last year. It's very, very difficult to do what you did last year and then come back with flying colors. I think this team is still a defensive beast, and there's no doubt about that, especially what they showed against Florida. Florida has been one of the best goal scoring teams in the NHL out of the late, especially their speed. And Dallas did a very good job of containing that. They just didn't do a great job of containing the shots that Florida was throwing at them. And that's the biggest thing. But I still believe in Dallas. They've only played 13 games this year. And I mean, you got Chicago there. You got Columbus there as well, who haven't been playing the greatest either. You
Mm-hmm.
still have a chance. You
Yeah.
still have a chance to jump right back in there.
Oh, for
Chicago has
sure.
played 18 games so far this year, so you still have time to jump back into it. You still have a lot of games on hand there in Dallas. They just need to stop with the COVID stuff, and especially the weather that they begin down there in Texas just needs to halt for a bit and just let the Dallas get some games underneath of them, because the amount of postponements they've been having this past year has been it's been killing the Dallas Stars. I feel they gain momentum and then it kind of just gets halted because of the fact that they've been having to deal with injury bugs and stoppages and COVID. It's just been a lot of stuff that Dallas has been dealing with.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, all of these sort of distractions and stuff are builders of character and test the character of teams, right?
Hmm.
I'm just trying to think of some other. I mean, Philadelphia is going through this, and we'll be talking about that as well. What other teams have? Tampa Bay's gone through this, and they seem to be doing all right. You know, they just beat a strong Carolina team, and they've been kind of
Hmm.
going through all of this stuff as well. So if you're going to be a championship team, these are the mountains you got to get over. And right
Yeah.
now, Dallas isn't winning in that regard.
Hmm. Yeah, and you got that right. They have not been winning the games that they should be winning, and like especially the last 3 losses, losing against Florida. But I mean, they haven't played in like a week. But the last time they played, they lost against Carolina. They lost against Carolina once again, and then they took 2 against Chicago, both overtime losses too, and then also lost against Columbus. They've been on a massive losing streak the entire month of February. They haven't won one single game but for the first game of the month where they beat Columbus, and they haven't been scoring goals. The most goals that they've scored is 3 goals in that one game against Columbus where they scored 6. They got to start producing, and they're having close games. They're having games where they could win, but they're not able to score that one goal they need, and they have not been getting that production that they need. They begin the goaltending, they begin the defense. They have not been able to put up goals, and that's been a big issue there for Dallas. And that was a big issue coming into even last year was their goal scoring power and how well they were going to do with that fact. So, I mean, we'll have to see if Dallas is able to rebound. I mean, that was one game that they played. We'll have to see how well they do against Florida, I think on third or tomorrow. So we'll have to see because they're going to be going up against Florida for the next two games. They got a back-to-back on the 24th and the 25th. So maybe they could take advantage of a very tired Florida Panthers team and try to pull out 2 wins in the next 2 days.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, make sure you're hitting the like button. Oh, yeah, that's great. That helps out a lot. And your Go Caps parlay was ruined by the Sharks and the Ducks. You thought the Sharks were going to win that game? We'll get to that. I don't know why you would have thought the Sharks would have won that game. And the Ducks almost pulled it out. We'll get to that too. We're going, that was weird. Didn't see
That
that.
was a weird game.
That was a weird game. But we just talked about it, the Lightning and the Hurricanes, so we'll go to that now. Was Drigger was in net for that Panthers win too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He was playing really, really good there for Florida.
Hmm.
It was a goaltending duo, like Dredger and Hudobin there. They played great all night. Hudobin with the amount of saves he was making, the amount of great saves that he was making for Dallas there as well was massive. And then Dredger playing huge near the end of the game there for Florida, making some big key saves to get them the victory.
So yeah, okay. Well, we'll move on to Carolina. I mean, there's not much more to say about Florida, but they're just playing fantastic.
They
I
are.
will say that Projo, he predicted it. He had Florida. He was really leaning towards Florida making the playoffs before the season started. So, but we all kind of said we really were interested in Florida because of
I
some
think
of the
I
moves
think
they
I
made.
said they were going to place fourth, and they blew my expectations out of the water because I felt like I knew Weinberg and like their players that they picked up during free agency were going to be huge, but I didn't know like Verhage was going to jump up the way he
No,
did,
I don't.
and
Anybody who told me they
Duclair.
saw that coming, I don't even think Florida saw that coming.
No, no one saw that coming. I mean, Huberto has been playing great. Barkov's been doing fantastic. I mean, just this entire team is playing like a team, which is something we have not seen there in Florida for a very long time. This team has been known for their inconsistency and just not being an overall team. And
Yeah,
this year, they look like a very cohesive unit.
right. So we'll move on to the Tampa Bay Carolina game. The Tampa Bay's gone through quite a bit of adversity this year as well.
Hmm.
Difference
Yeah.
is they got a guy named Steven Stamkos scoring 9 goals after being injured all last year. Like, what? He's a Superman, isn't he?
I mean, I've always loved Steven Stamkos ever since he came into the league. Always been a big fan. I was always really sad when he was down with an injury because I've always been a big supporter of Steven Stamkos. The way he plays the game is just fantastic, and he leads by example, and he especially led by example in the playoffs where he scored that big goal for Tampa Bay, which I think sent the Lightning over the limit there. That's where when Steven Stamkos scored, that gave them that juice to finish out those last couple of games and win that Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, they've been dealing with a lot of stuff this year, especially having Cirelli out of the lineup. Kucherov has been missing this entire season this year, and Stamkos has been stepping up huge. Especially Brain Point as well. I know he's been struggling a little bit, but he's been stepping it back up for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Also, a nice young player there for Tampa Bay made his debut tonight as well. Alex Barboulette made his debut there for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He was what draft? I can't even remember what draft he was in. But he was a draft pick there for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He made his debut tonight as well, and Trevor Zegras as well. The young stud that everyone's been really excited about made his debut yesterday as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get there for sure. Um, just that Tampa Bay team was running on all cylinders last night.
Hmm.
Carolina, there was a great game actually. I did you watch the game at all? Did you have a chance to watch it?
Actually, I was not able to watch that
Okay.
game. I
Well, it's
watched the Florida Dallas game, or
no.
yeah, the Florida Dallas game though.
Well, it's good because you watched that. I watched a lot of this
Hmm.
game here, and the Carolina didn't lose this game. You know, Tampa Bay beat them. This was a
Yeah.
really competitive, fun game to watch. Offense
Hmm.
was really good. The really when it comes down to, and we'll be talking about this until it changes somewhere down the road. Reimer is just not a number one goal. I mean, Reimer is
Yeah.
just not an answer for this.
Hmm.
If you trade goaltenders, Carolina wins this game hands down, for
Yeah.
sure, no doubt about it. And that's what it's going to come down to when you're talking about Carolina until something changes
I
there.
think the biggest thing for Carolina right now, if I was that team, my goal would be to try to top that Central Division so you don't have to go up against either Florida or Tampa Bay right now. Because as Carolina, they're a great team. There's no doubt about that. And I think it'd be a very exciting series to watch when it's a series either between Florida or Tampa Bay. I think that Central Division is going to be a really exciting division when you have those three teams. The way that they've been playing is great.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as a team with Carolina not having any goaltender, you don't want to be going up against Tampa Bay or Florida going into the playoffs. You don't. You might have a good team there in Carolina, but when you're relying on Reimer or Mrazek, it's not going to go very well for you. And Carolina's been relying a lot on James Reimer, and he's not that guy. He's not a starting goalie. He can put up some decent backup numbers, he can, but he's just not your starting goalie, and they're definitely playing them a lot. But Nedeljkovic has been stepping up.
Yep.
He's been given some good games there for Carolina.
Yep.
So maybe they rely on him a little bit more. But I think Brendan Moore's kind of easing them in to that kind of role there for Carolina.
Yeah. I think Nick Dalkovich has looked like he could be a player. It depends. I don't know how much of a player he'll be. Florida NHNR said he predicted Florida would make the playoffs. Good for you, buddy. Uh, Kane
Kane
should
should
go
go
all
all
in
in
for
on Kemper.
Kemper. The question is, will Arizona let anybody go all in for Kemper? I don't think so. I don't think
I
Kemper's
mean,
going anywhere there.
if I was Armstrong, you don't have any first. I mean, this draft is going to be kind of questionable, I guess. You don't really know who's going to be a stud or not.
Mm,
Um, if some team offers me some good high quality draft picks and some good quality picks for Darcy Kemper, especially with the position the Arizona Coyotes are in, they're on the cusp of being in a spot. But yeah, Minnesota, you have LA, who's also been doing really good. I watched a little bit of that game, and LA, I mean, their defense is pretty good. They're doing a really good job. They're buying into the Todd McClellan system, and
mm-hmm.
it's really working well there for LA. But um, I think it's going to be hard. Like Carolina definitely does need a goalie, but I think for Carolina, what I would do, and I think they're definitely looking into the goalie situation. I would wait. I would honestly wait until trade deadline. I think it's a couple of weeks away now. We're not that far away from trade deadline, and wait for goalies to hit on the market because Seattle Kraken's coming up this next year. You might see teams making some early moves to prepare themselves
Yeah.
for the expansion draft. And if not, if you wait until after the playoffs, then maybe you go after that huge starting goalie in a Kemper or an Auntie Ronta or whoever you can find to be your starting goalie there in Carolina. Because you just need a more confident goalie that can take that starting position there in Carolina. Nedeljkovic could do pretty good, but who knows? Especially if Arizona keeps playing well, I don't think they would be even trading Darcy Kemper either.
No, I don't think I think that they have enough young players there, Dvorak, Garland, Chikrin,
Yeah,
that they can build around that. I also it's Arizona cannot afford to do a burn down rebuild. I mean, they're not making any money as it is. So they brought in Armstrong to continue this ball rolling and build on the fly. And if they're going to
hmm,
do that, they can't lose Kemper. There's no way.
yeah.
Kemper is gold for them right now.
Oh, he is, and especially on the
Absolute gold.
contract.
Yeah,
The contract
yeah,
is
exactly.
beautiful.
There's no way they're trading him. There's no way. They'll give him a bigger contract when that comes up. You just can't. They can't afford it. Like it's not like
You can't lose a goalie like Kemper.
no,
Like
They
you
don't just
can't.
grow on trees, man. You can't just go pick up
Yeah.
another Kemper somewhere. So, yeah, I don't see it. I don't see that happening. Although I do agree that if you could do that, could get him for sure, or Gibson in Anaheim, or. But here's something that we've talked about that we thought the Oilers would be a good idea for them to do. But Bernier or Grice from Carolina, they're stopping pucks like crazy. I mean, their numbers may not look that great, but if you put Carolina's defense and team in front of them, they would be a much better. I think they'd be upgrade on both Mrazek and Reimer, wouldn't you? Say?
Yeah, I think if you were to go after Grice, I think Grice would be a huge difference maker. Yeah, 1 in 10 for Thomas Grice. Man, I feel bad. I don't know why. Why would I mean Grice? I mean, I wish he came to Edmonton because Grice would have been a great goalie for the Edmonton Oilers if we were able to get him. But he is, if you were to put him alongside of a really strong defensive core, especially when he was in New York, and um, Grice would have been perfect. Grice has been putting up great numbers throughout his entire career, and you put him in a good defensive system. Not even just that, you put him in a good, confident defense core. He's going to do great. You put him alongside of Carolina, you do have Mrazek Grice. That's a pretty damn good tandem.
Mm-hmm.
Mrazek does put up some good numbers, and before he got injured, he was putting up really, really good numbers there for Carolina. And I think that tandem would work, but it wouldn't last forever. Grice is not going to be there forever. Either is Mrazek. I think as a Carolina team, especially with how powerful they are now, they need to find somebody to be that number one. They need to find like a Vazzy or a kind of like a Tuca. They need to find someone that could be that guy for them moving forward, especially going into a big playoff matchup. They need to find someone that could be that huge starting goalie there in Carolina.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. We've talked almost to death about it. Hey, Kevin, how you doing? March 1st for the deadline. Is that right? March 1st for the
I'm
deadline.
just googling it now.
That seems
Uh,
early, doesn't it? No, that can't be. Maybe it can be.
Trade deadline will be April 12th.
Hey, that's more like it. Yeah. So,
So still bits away, but it's coming up.
all right, we'll go to our next game then, as it goes here.
I think the next game is the Sabres Islanders. I think was the one after the Tampa Bay Lightning Hurricanes
Yeah,
one.
Sabres Islanders. Okay, I had a weird feeling the Sabres were going to win this game, but I was wrong. Um, and
The Sabres suck.
yeah,
They scratched Skinner as well this game.
yeah, and that's why I thought the guy. I thought this. I really think Skinner's such a distraction there
It
that
is.
these guys would actually play hard to keep him out of the lineup. Like that's how bad I think Skinner is a distraction for this team. But the Islanders have buffed the Sabres number. The Sabres can't seem to do anything against a team that plays like the Islanders do at all. Uh, I don't know what to say. I mean, what's going to happen with the Sabres? Really, they're gonna. Good thing they
I
have
don't
their
know.
first this year and next year. You just keep on drafting first, and hopefully Eichel doesn't walk away or like really. There's not much you can do with this team.
It's a difficult spot. They put themselves in cap hell, and they really did screw themselves. Like, who the heck is gonna want Jeff Skinner?
Nobody.
He's stuck on a no movement clause. Like, that is such a bad contract. Then you also have Kyle Pozo as well for the next 3 years at 6 million, and he's a third line bum. Like, this team in Buffalo right now, like, Pozo doesn't even have a single point, and he's making $6 million there in Buffalo.
Yeah,
And you have Ristolainen, who also has been crap. They also just lost Jake McCabe to an injury, who's been a great defenseman for them. Their defense is starting to go down. Like, they don't got very many good defensemen left. They're really having to dig into that taxi squad for defensemen, and it's not looking good for them. I think honestly, trade Hall.
Yeah,
Don't resign
that's
him.
what they're gonna. That's what I
Trade
would say
Hall.
too. Yeah.
Trade Eric Stahl. If you could try to trade away Rasmus Ristolainen, trade Ristolainen. He's useless for that team. I would trade away a lot of the old veterans, clear out the stocks, maybe look to trade away Skinner. Maybe look
There's no
say
way you're
maybe
gonna
you could
trade
retain
Skinner.
him,
No way.
but it's almost near impossible. You don't want to buy him out because they legit just started that contract. You're going to be stuck with Skinner for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe look to trade up Okposo, but that's going to be impossible too. Honestly, the way that you're going to have to go with this team is drafting. That's the only way you're going to be able
Yeah.
to fit players into the system.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to sign free agency because they're going to be, for one, asking for too much money. And also, why sign Cody Eakin for $2.25
I have
million?
no
dollars?
idea. I have
I
no
was
idea.
kind of a supporter for Kevin Adams to start things off in the offseason. I was giving him kind of a bit of confidence. I was like, okay, Cody Eakin might not be too bad. He's been useless for that team.
My
He's making $2.2 million and has put up 1 point in 15 games.
my thing, I think, because Cody Eakin is well known to be good in the room, he was trying to make a culture change with Stahl and Eakin and stuff like that. The question here, CL, would Detroit take on Skinner's contract? No freaking way. You could actually retain half his contract for the next 8 years, and Detroit, and nobody would still touch that contract.
I don't think anyone would touch. It's like Lucic. I never thought anyone would touch Lucic until Calgary did. No one's gonna touch Skinner's contract. It just started. It still has 7 years left on that deal, and you still have to pay bonuses. This year they had to pay him a $7.5 million bonus this year. And not just that, in 2022-23, they have to pay him another big bonus as well. So no one's going to take that contract because you still have to pay him bonuses. And uh, how horrible would this contract be to buy it out? If you were to buy it out
You
now,
could, you'd be you'd be paying that off
oh my
for as long
lord,
as the
dude.
Islanders were paying
Yeah.
Yashin. Like, holy
No, he
crap!
was still Rick DiPietro, man. That would be so bad. It'd be Rick DiPietro's contract. Yeah,
Yeah,
like if you want to buy out this contract next year, you would be having to pay him $8.9 million of cap hit, and then later down the road in 2027, you would have to pay him $6.4 million on his last year,
yeah.
and then for the rest of this contract, you would be having to pay him 2.4 all the way up until 2020 or yeah, 2033, you would have to be paying this guy up until if
That's
you want to buy out his contract now.
unbelievable. My gosh, like and everybody knew it when they signed it. That's the thing. It's not like
We all said it was
it's
bad.
not like
We
people were
all said it
like
was bad.
surprised by that contract being bad. How could the Pagulas or who I'm sure I swear there's no way that Jason Botterill came up with that idea. That is an owner
No, that
all
was
that's an
I
owner all day saying that
yeah.
that no way anybody with any hockey mind said yes we'll give Skinner $9 million a year. There's just no
That's why they hired Evan
way.
Adams because Adams is just a guy that plays to the Pagulas, and that's the way the Pagulas are. They've always been like that, especially with every franchise that they own there in Buffalo. They like to have too much ownership on the team, and it's slowly deteriorating the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres are becoming the Edmonton Oilers. They really are. You know what? The Edmonton Oilers are starting to go on the right path, but the Buffalo Sabres are not.
Yeah,
The Buffalo Sabres and the Edmonton Oilers were struggling at the same time, and they got two different players. They got Eichel, we got McDavid, and Edmonton Oilers have been going on the uptrend slowly, and the Buffalo Sabres just seem to keep going on that same path and not improving at all. And this year just seems like it just didn't work. Their depth is horrible. They don't got good depth. They don't got a good defensive core. Ralph Kruger's trying to keep this team alive, and I think a lot of locker room problems is just not adding up for this team. And this team's supposed to be a goal scoring team. They're 29th in the league for goals for this year.
yeah. Oh yeah. There's uh, it's not mesh. Eichel and Hall are not meshing. They've tried them on different lines now. I agree with you. Trade Hall. For sure, no doubt about it. Get some assets for him.
Actually, never mind. Keep Hall because Hall gets you that draft lottery because Hall has that record of every team he's
Yeah,
been on.
yeah,
He's won the draft lottery.
yeah.
So actually keep Taylor Hall.
No,
Maybe you
no.
guys win the
I
lottery
don't think
again.
I'm going to keep Taylor Hall for that reason when you can get first round pick for him.
But
Probably.
this is actually kind of a big question too. Like Taylor Hall, every team he's been on, they really have not done very good.
No. And Taylor Hall signed that contract thinking that he was going to pair up with Eichel, rack up his numbers, and then rake it in next year.
I think this has been kind of a proven point that in the NHL, we're not like the NBA where you could build like a powerhouse where you could bring two superstar players together and mesh them together and have an all-star team. That's what Buffalo tried to do. I think that's what was in their heads in Adams and the Pagulas, like, oh, let's bring in Taylor Hall, let's play him with Jack Eichel, and we could have this superstar of a team. And it fell right on its
I
face.
seriously think this is what happened. This is my personal opinion. And I think Pagula was kind of out of it here. He let Adams do something, and they
Hmm.
saw that Eichel was pissed. Okay, and I don't blame Eichel for being pissed. By the way, how could you? And they wanted to make him happy, show them that we're going a direction, and hopefully be able to just keep him for as long as they can as they build this team. So they got Hall, gave him an $8 million 1 year contract to see, hope, cross their fingers that there's some serious chemistry between these two guys. And they start building a line that allows Eichel to feel like they're moving somewhere, right? Well, sadly, that doesn't look like it's happened. Now, we still have the rest of the season to go, but that doesn't look like what's happened. But and then the idea was if it doesn't work out, we'll trade Hall, get draft picks, keep on trying to talk to Eichel that we're moving in the right direction, hoping.
I,
But I'm getting to the point now where this team almost has to trade Eichel. They
I
they need to do a
it
they need to get a
sucks.
package of players to build depth all through this lineup with young
Yeah,
players. Draft, get some. They need a base. They can't
they
just
do
have
because
one
their depth.
superstar and then no depth
Yeah,
whatsoever.
you look at their depth. They have Tobias Reeder down there. They have Riley Seahan, Cody Eakin, Kyle Lapozo. These guys are so bad with their analytics, and they're building a depth that has no offense, first of all, and that just relies all on defense. And they don't even do a good job of that just in general. This Buffalo Sabres team, it's sad because I want to see Eichel produce. I want to see Eichel do good there in Buffalo. This was a team that was supposed to be on the uptrend, but I think the biggest thing that ruined the Buffalo Sabres was Jeff Skinner. I think Jeff Skinner, you don't
Yeah,
have Jeff Skinner's $9 million contract, you would actually be able to sign competent
yeah,
level of people.
yeah.
I think even going after Taylor Hall was a dumb idea for the Buffalo Sabres. What they could have done was build that depth up instead of signing Taylor Hall to an $8 million deal. They could have went after players that had cheaper deals. They could have went maybe after a Dadonov, sign him to a $5 million deal. Wouldn't have been a bad idea for the Buffalo Sabres. Dadonov, good level of a player, $5 million. Then you still have a couple other $1 million to go after some depth players instead of signing Cody Eakin, who is not a third line player anymore. He's a
Yeah,
fourth
Cody
liner.
Eakin was ridiculous. Like, what are you doing there? Again, that was a culture in the room thing, I suppose, and stuff like that. But
I don't
I
know.
don't know that it's the whole lineup is Montour was a mistake, but it was hard to understand why it's a mistake.
It was hard because Montour had such great potential coming out of
Yeah,
Anaheim. He just completely his analytics. It was like at a high point and then it just dropped when he came to Buffalo. It feels like it's an effect every time someone joins Buffalo. It's just a complete drop off, and like Casey Middlestad. And I mean this Buffalo Sabres team as well. They are horrible at prospect management. Like they've done great with Darlene, even then Darlene, and Jack Eichel. But even then, they've been treating those two players like crap. And
yeah.
sooner or later, they're gonna have enough of it. And
Darlene
sooner or
hasn't
later,
become the player. I mean, he's still fairly young yet, but I mean, he's not projecting where everybody thought he would. When he was
Well, that's because
drafted,
he's having to carry that defensive core.
yeah,
He's legit having to be that number one guy when he is not ready. He needs a guy to play alongside of him. And when you have Matt Irwin playing 21 minutes of ice time and Montour playing 20 minutes, and your next best D man is Colin Miller, I don't know. I like it's rough there in Buffalo, and uh, it's a rough spot there in Buffalo. It's a rough one.
yeah. Yeah, I almost like I said, I've thought, and I've been thinking about doing a video on some packages that you could get for Eichel, because if a superstar has become that disgruntled, like this is over and over again. Elliot Friedman's talking about the possibility of it. If it's gotten that high, the possibility is out there
If Elliot Freeman's talking about it, then most likely there might be discussions
going on.
between Eichel and the GM talking about what's going on because this has been a thing since last year. Eichel doesn't look happy there. I know people say that he says that he's happy or whatever, but man, when you're losing, it sucks to lose. You're not happy in that position. You don't want to play hockey if you're losing 24/7,
Hmm.
right? Like especially right now, like they're losing so much. They lost a close game against the Islanders and in a game that they should have won because they need to win some games right now. You can't continue to lose games, and especially as a player like Eichel, who only has 13 points in 15 games, and you're seeing players like Matthews and you're seeing players like McDavid produce the way that they've been producing. As a superstar like Eichel, you want to be up in that same spot, but you're just not right now, and it's not looking good there in Buffalo. Maybe we see some big things at trade deadline, but
Hmm.
who knows right now there in Buffalo.
I was looking at another thing we didn't even talk. We'll move on somewhere else because I've talked to Buffalo all to death, and I would like to talk some Michael trades because that's going to be fun. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow on the beginning of the show. But another thing I would do if I was Buffalo again, and just like we just talked about, I'd be looking for the best goaltender I can find. Nothing can solidify an organization better than one of the best goaltenders in the game.
Oh, without a doubt,
Yeah,
and boost morale as well. When you have a confident goalie, your team plays a lot easier and plays a lot more
yeah,
relaxed and not nervous.
yeah.
I mean, trusting Carter Hutton and Linus Ulmark.
Oh,
Linus Ulmark hasn't been too great, but Hutton, I don't know,
Hutton's
man.
horrible.
Hutton has been hot garbage since they picked him up, and
Yeah.
that was a bad move to pick him up. I don't know why you spend the money. I think you know what I don't think the Buffalo Sabres are going to be able to fix this next year. I don't think they're going to be able to go next year after that.
Mm.
I think this team is going to be a perennial dumpster fire for this next decade. I
Well,
feel.
we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think you have to trade Eichel now. And to say a
Yeah.
few things, I mean, it's not like the Pagulas haven't had success. They built that Bills
Hmm.
team.
Yeah.
That was looking not too bad. And I might as well mention their daughter made it to the quarterfinals in the Australian Open this year. Pretty good.
Woo.
Yeah, not too bad. So, uh, but okay, we better get on to other games because at the end of well, I'll tell you right now, the big thing we like to do at the end of the uh, show is we pick scores and who's going to win the games for tomorrow. So we want to make sure we get to that. Um,
Perfect.
anyways, we didn't even talk about the game. We just talked about Buffalo. Islanders. Islanders are boring to talk about, except that Wallstrom's looking like he's getting better every game, which is big.
And shout out to Pajot.
Pajot.
Pajot, 7 goals on the year.
Pajot's
He's
playing like
been
a
great.
beast with nobody around him on that third line. Crazy. He's been their best player this year, really, I think. Even more than
Yeah,
Barzal.
I think that was a big player that they needed to have step up this year in Pajot because they signed him to a big contract, $5 million for Jean Gabriel Pajot. It was a big deal for the guy, and you know what? You know what? I always question Lou Lamoriello's moves, and especially the Islanders' moves, just in general, because that team always looks a bit rough. But man, they always prove me wrong. And the way that they've been playing, they're playing great, and I hope they do continue because they're third place in the East Division. And boring games, but if you like those defensive style games, the Islanders is a team to watch for you.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to our next game. And
Uh,
this,
oh, before we CL, how about Eichel to Calgary, please?
oh, Eichel to
No,
Calgary.
no,
That does make
no.
some sense.
But
Fortunately for us, though, Calgary doesn't have the assets to make that deal. I don't think. Uh,
you're glad to just like smile. They don't have the assets to pick up Eichel.
yeah,
You're thinking in the head, yeah, they don't.
they don't have the assets, and they wouldn't pick them up for some reason just because
I
their
I
player
I don't.
management is ridiculous.
I I don't think they would risk it because they would have to trade away a lot of people. They might even have to risk trading away Kachuk. And if you do that, then what you're going to have left for Eichel to play with? They don't have the assets to really make a
Yeah,
big
I
move
think they
like
would
that.
absolutely have to trade Kachuk. I don't think Goudreau plus is going to do it there. I think they're going to have to
You'd have
trade
to
for
do like
Kachuk.
if you were going to do Goudreau, you would have to do Goudreau, Monahan, and like a first, and like even more than that for
Oh
Eichel.
yeah, more than that. You're going to have either if you're going to
2 years of firsts.
if Rasmus Anderson, I'm asking for Rasmus Anderson, or
Oh, I would.
I'm
I
asking for
would.
Rasmus Anderson or Kachuk to start the package off.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to do one of those just to get the ball rolling for Eichel.
I think you would have to pick up a centerman back too. I think Monahan would be a guy
Yeah,
that would have to go back as well because Monahan's centerman. You do. I think I would do Anderson because Anderson's going to be elite level defenseman without a doubt. The way
absolutely.
that he
Yeah,
plays, Anderson, Monahan, couple firsts, some prospects. But the thing is, Calgary doesn't have any prospects anyways. They have a pretty dried up prospect system unless you trade away Pelletier, who's one of their better prospects there in Calgary. It's going to be a very hard deal. I think no matter what, Buffalo's going to lose the deal if they do trade away Eichel. No matter what,
yeah.
you're going to lose a deal like that. You can't win in that
Your only way
situation.
that you can possibly win that deal, like the trade that you just said, I don't know if I would go with. The only way you do it is if you go for like, say with Anaheim, you go for Zegras and 2 first round picks, right? Then you've got
Mm,
your number one future. Like you're not worrying about now. The only way you're going to win that deal is you pick up as many 1st round picks as you possibly can
yeah,
and nail them. And then
I think you would see like an
you may
NBA.
win that deal. You may win that deal.
Yeah, you might see an NBA style of a trade there
Yeah,
with Buffalo. It's like lots of draft picks. I think
yeah.
there's no way that you can just pick up Eichel with 2 firsts or whatever. You would have to. It would be a whole big package from another team
Yeah.
just to pick up Eichel.
Maybe even
It's a hard
a
one.
3 team deal where you go like San
Oh,
Jose for
I think
Couture,
I think
first
you
round
have to,
picks and stuff like that, and then trade Couture
especially with
for
the
first round
cap,
picks and stuff like that.
especially with the cap and his $10 million. You would have to do a 3-way deal. Even a 4-way deal, even because of the fact with how much salary there is, there would be so much movement between the teams just to clear up enough space just to get Eichel on the
Maybe.
team.
I think it's probably right. I think there would probably be a 3 team deal or a 3 team trade or something like that.
Maybe future idea in the offseason to talk about big 3-way deal.
Yeah, like
Maybe
I
make
would
some.
see something like San Jose for Couture and like 2 or 3 1st round picks because they are like lost. I don't know what they're like. They're lost. They would need. They could use a superstar over there just to say they have one. It would be a bad trade for them, but
Oh, without a doubt.
I'm just spitballing here. Something that might work. Something like that. That Zegras uh, picks, but you're gonna have to take some defenseman or something off of them so they can make it work
Hmm.
for the cap. But interesting, anyways.
It's gonna be a hard one either way.
Yeah, talking about the Calgary Flames.
They
Last
got a big
night,
dub.
lovely movement to not tell anybody, Toronto, that Anderson is hurt till the last second, and then throw in Hutchinson before I can even
That
tell.
sucked.
That ticked me off. I had Toronto winning. I wouldn't have had Toronto winning that game if Hutchinson was in because Toronto should be getting tired eventually, and they looked tired last night.
Yeah, this game was it was a weird one. You look at Toronto and you look at their lineup and you're just like, whew. They played Tavares, Matthews, and Marner up on the top line, and they practically left Nylander to rot. Practically, Nylander was playing all up and down the lineup with Boyd and Barabanov. It was a kind of a gong show there for Toronto, especially defensively. They did not have Muzzin, which when they don't have Muzzin, Toronto just does not do very well defensively. And then also Hutchinson was really weak. He let in a couple weak ones, especially the first one there with Sam Bennett. Calgary, I still don't like the way that they were playing last night. They still looked a little dead out there, especially with all the rumors with Kachuk. The team's kind of like telling him to like stop playing so feisty, which is what Kachuk does. I don't know why, as a player, you would tell your top star, "Hey, stop being feisty out there, man. Stop doing this
I'd
stuff."
like to
Like
know what the exact words on that was, but then
I would love to know. I would love also to know who the player said that because if a player actually said that, I would trade him. As a
it was a
GM, I would get
player.
rid
It
of
was
him.
a player that said that. I thought it was
I
management that said it.
either that or his management. I'm not too sure who said it, but someone said it to Kachuk.
If
And
wait a sec, we should
why?
probably tell our listeners what this is because this was a big thing.
Mm,
I don't even know why this wasn't bigger than it was, honestly.
yeah.
Apparently,
Hmm.
Kachuk was manhandled, high sticked or something like that as well in front of the net. It was a pretty bad play on somebody, and he got up to basically do what Kachuk does, and nobody backed him up. That's really what it was about, right? Nobody
Hmm.
backed him up, and he lost his. He just lost it. He lost it on the bench. He was freaking losing it, saying, "Why isn't anybody being a team here?" And you know, I get it. I totally get it, and that is so what Calgary's problem is. And then you have somebody or management or something say, "Hey, we can't have this be a gong show every night or something like that." That's what I heard. Something like that. I'm like, dude, you should be yelling at the rest of their team saying, "How come nobody's backing Kachuk up?"
Yeah, and I think there was even an interview where he got like asked about something. He was just like, oh, I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, someone told him that he needed to stop kind of being feisty or whatever it was, um, which is what Kachuk does. He is a very very feisty player, and I think the entire team needs to play like that. There in Calgary, the Calgary Flames are a gritty team, and they need to start playing a lot like it. But this is what I predicted from the Calgary Flames this year. Um, I looked at the team. I looked at the depth chart. Their depth is weak. They need to have a very very good locker room if they want to win games. And right now, they don't look like they have a very strong locker room, especially since the rumors that came out about Sam Bennett wanting out. The team has just not been playing what they should have been, and it's just not looking the greatest there in Calgary right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Sam Bennett rumors are there. There's a lot of stuff, and not to mention, then you got to wake up. You got to go to the dressing room every day and look at Lucic pretend he's still an NHL player every day. So there's that. I mean, that was hard for the Oilers as well. Like he he he
So
he's oblivious.
yeah, so this was on 31 Thoughts from Elliot Freeman. He said this seems like he thinks the Flames management group could be trying to shake up the core. I think as a Flames fan, this is what the Flames fan was saying. We could really hope for a retool rather than a full on rebuild, which I think Calgary I don't know. It's kind of like the Buffalo situation. I think you might have to go for a full blown rebuild to really get what you want because Calgary doesn't have that top superstar, right? They thought Dominic Simone would have been a guy like he played great with Crosby. That's throw him alongside of Monahan and Goudreau.
Yeah,
Do you
not
really
the same.
think
Not
that?
the same.
Do you really think that Crosby and Monahan and Goudreau are the same?
No,
No, Dominic Simone is not a top line guy. Stop making
he's a
him
fourth
a
line
top
guy.
line guy.
He's a fourth line guy.
Stop playing Joakim Nordstrom. Why are you playing Nordstrom every single game? He's a bum out there. He's turning over the puck. He is not playing very good. Josh Levio, a guy that a Flames fan, when I talked about this team, I said that their depth is going to be weak, and I was right.
Yeah,
Levio's not been playing, or Levo, I mean,
he's
has not been playing great. Sam Bennett, he's gotten a couple goals here and there, but has not been the guy. Dylan Dubé, who played great in the playoffs, he's been great at some moments of time, but not
he
always.
would be a lot better if he was the one they put up the higher in the lineup. But why Simone? Just because he's big? Put Dubé up there. He's shackled to Lucic and who are they playing? Are they playing Backlund with them? Who are they playing
I think
as?
so.
Is it?
I think it's like a Backlund Lucic Mangiapane as well was playing on that line, which is a joke because Mangiapane should be playing up on the top line. The way that Jeff Ward has these lines situated, I mean, he doesn't have very much choice on the lines anyways because of the fact that they just don't got very many good players on that team. But eh, it's such a looking at this team, it's just like it's just funny when Flames fans like, oh, Lucic is playing good. I'm like, no. I mean, yeah, he's put up a couple good goals, but he's got lucky goals. The puck is landed right on his stick, and he just shot it right in the back of the net.
No.
All he does is go up against. It's like the same play they play every time. They chip it in. They have a big body go into the corner, fight for it, try to generate something. It's not working because they don't got enough big bodies.
No.
They're a speedy team, but they're not playing like a speedy team. They're not having that effort out there, and it showed against the Edmonton Oilers, and it showed against the Maple Leafs. They just got lucky that the Maple Leafs had a bunch of injuries and they didn't have Anderson in the net.
And they're tired. They played 5 games
Yeah,
in 7 nights. They've had a
that as
rough
well.
beginning to their schedule. I was wondering how long it was going to take. I'm surprised it took as long as it did for Toronto to have a tired night. And so they had a tired night. I think they're going to be absolutely fine. But
I
on
think
the
so
other
too.
side of things, I don't think Calgary is going to be absolutely fine. I think we predicted they'll miss the playoffs, and I think they will. As far as a retool is concerned, yeah, I mean, it's got to the point where Goudreau's got to go. I mean, it's just not working out. They need to get Kachuk up there on the top line. They just don't. He needs to go somewhere where they can. They might be able to get an actual center. I mean,
This Calgary
he's
Flames
been
team,
propping up Monahan for way too long. He
this
needs to
this
go
team needs
somewhere
to
where
rebuild.
he can play with an actual center. That was the guy I said Buffalo should have went after because Buffalo's not that far from his hometown in New Jersey area there, like a little
Yeah.
it's closer. I would have
hmm
rather seen Goudreau playing with Eichel than Hall because
Yeah.
Knows how to pass the puck and be creative. Hall wants the puck on his stick and go to the net, where Eichel wants to do the same thing. I didn't see the gelling that was going to happen between those two, and as it turns out, it
Yeah.
doesn't look like it has. Goudreau, on the other hand, that might have been something for them. I don't know who they would have given back, but
I
who
think
knows what Calgary wants. They probably want I don't know, like
I
middle.
know
They
they
probably take middle
yeah,
stat or something.
Middlestad. The thing is, I know the Flames fans don't want to have a rebuild there in Calgary, but when you have your superstars as wingers, it most likely means your team is not very good.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
it's
to say
true.
that, but you look at most teams in the NHL, Tampa Bay, what do they have? Steven Stamkos, Braden Point. Florida, what do they have? Barkov. Carolina, Sebastian Aho. Boston, Patrice Bergeron. Washington, they got Backstrom and Kuznetsov. Islanders, they have Barzell. Pittsburgh, they have Crosby. Toronto, they have Matthews. Edmonton, McDavid. Winnipeg, Shifley. Every team that is in the playoffs has
Mm-hmm.
a quality centerman who can win you games, who could step up as a leader.
Yeah,
You have Kachuk. A winger is great to have. A great superstar winger is great to have, but when you do not have a centerman that could
yeah,
lead your team,
yeah.
it's not going to work there in Calgary. And I feel as an organization, the best thing to do now is to rebuild. You have Shane Wright coming up, who is a great looking prospect, and that could change up everything for the Calgary Flames if you were to rebuild now.
Yeah.
You have Anderson, who's still young. I know it would suck. It would suck to rebuild right now there in Calgary because as an organization and as fans, you're probably feeling like, oh yeah, we have the superstars to make of a team, of course, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to make this team into the playoffs, especially with the Jets and the Canadians, and especially if the Vancouver Canucks start turning themselves around. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is not going to look very good for
Trade
Calgary.
for Eichel. Anyways, we better get to more games here, buddy. Uh, though I guess the one good thing is, like I said, is Rittich started stopping pucks. Not just last night, but before too. It looks like
Yeah,
he's got back, so that will help to have.
they just need to play him a bit more and stop overplaying Jacob Markstrom.
Well,
I think is a
Markstrom's
big thing
hurt
for them.
now apparently.
Yeah,
So
he is.
okay, Next game, what are we going to get to? We got to go. We're going to go over these a little quicker now. The Kings and the Blues. I predicted this win. The Blues. What the heck's going on with the Blues?
Defensive game by the LA Kings, honestly. Brown keeps climbing up that board for most goals as an American. 2 goals tonight. Dustin Brown, man, he just never ages. Like, my lord, 16 points in 17 games. My man, Dustin Brown, he's had a couple down years, but this year, this LA Kings team, man, Pearlo, you said that this LA Kings team could be a sleeper. And honestly, they are. Velarde's been starting to produce a little bit. Kopitar's been playing good. Afalio's been playing great. And they've been playing a really good defensive game as well. This team is just surprising.
Yep.
And St. Louis, on the other hand, I don't know, man. They're in and out. Some games they play great. Some games they can't get goals. And I think they're missing Tarasenko immensely. Mike Hoffman's not that guy to replace him. He's been good, but definitely not as great as what Tarasenko would be for that St. Louis Blues team.
I just think before they were talking about it, people, insiders were saying that they weren't going to be able to recover. It was going to take a while to recover from the loss of Peter Angelo. And
Yeah,
it looks like, oh my gosh, we're playing Mike Smith tonight.
yeah, he's been decent.
Uh, I don't
Gave
know.
Koskinen a
Keep on
break.
rolling the dice with Mike Smith. Come on. Okay, what and see, somebody he said, who's NHNR there said who's going to be in goal for Ottawa today. I still have nothing confirmed, but he's saying it might be Decord. Well, I'll be changing my pick on on my Patreon real quick if it's Decord. Oh my gosh, they got to go to Murray there. But we'll get that one. We'll get there when we get there. But I look it up. I see nothing on left wing lock. As far as LA is concerned, they are playing beautiful.
Above expectations.
When McClellan left Edmonton, I was like, it wasn't McClellan. I'm telling you right now, he's going to
Yeah,
go to LA,
I totally
and
agree.
that line, he's going to go to LA. LA is going to freaking be awesome. And I don't know what we're going to say because we need to keep McClellan. I was saying,
I
do not
hated
fire
I
McClellan, whatever you do.
Yeah, I hate that the organization blamed it on McClellan because it wasn't. I mean, you look at that team when McClellan was the head coach of this Edmonton Oilers team, it was it was hot garbage. It really
It
was. The
was
year that he
terrible.
got fired, the team he had McDavid, and then who else? He had Chason, Lucic, Jujar, Kajula, Tyrati, Ryder, Gagne, Brodziak,
Yeah,
Puliarvi at the time, who wasn't playing very good. Josh Curry, he played him for 21 games.
yeah.
Colby Cave, Ryan Spooner, rest in peace, Colby Cave. Gambardella, Ryan
Kind of
Strome.
rest in peace, Ryan Spooner. Oh,
Oh man, he's buried. I cannot believe we traded for Ryan Spooner for Strome.
Strom,
Oh my lord.
beautiful. We trade Everly to the New York Islanders for Ryan Strom,
It
who
would have been great
who
nowadays
isn't a
for that
bad
third line
third
center.
line center, yeah, whatever. And then we trade Ryan Strom for Ryan Spooner, who was an absolute disaster everywhere he went. Was a room cancer. Everybody knew it. Like, let's not. We can go on Edmonton. Anyways, it's not McClellan's fault. McClellan's doing awesome there. Even Quick is stopping pucks. I mean,
Yeah, he played really good. I think the biggest thing is that if St. Louis was actually good at goal scoring, they would have been able to pick apart Quick because
yeah,
Quick is a very challenging goalie. I was seeing him coming out of his crease a lot
yeah.
and challenging.
Hmm.
And if a defenseman, like I was hearing the analysts say, if they were able to just fake a slap shot, pull Quick out a little bit, maybe evade and try to get a nice shot, nice little quick shot on Quick, you might be able to get a goal. But St. Louis wasn't doing any of that during that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there. St. Louis is trying
They
to.
were really playing a tight
I
defensive game as
I
well.
think St. Louis is trying to refine their identity again after Peter Angelo wasn't there. They got to get back to their heavy play of hockey that made St.
Mm,
Louis St. Louis. But he was a
yeah,
big part of the leader on that. And now the leaders on D are not that. You've got Justin
yeah,
Falk and Torrey Krug and done, and you're trying to get.
Justin Falk's been playing well, but
Yeah, but he's
it's
not
not a
going
good defense
to
score.
lead the physical style of what St. Louis is. In
Yeah.
fact, neither is who is going to. He just seemed to get everything moving there in St. Louis, and now they got to find somebody else who's going to do that. And so far, they doesn't look like they found anybody. It could. I said before the season, I had him in fourth, and I was really concerned for this team. But my main
But they also have a couple injuries as well. They're missing Thomas. Schwartz has
Jaden
been out as
Schwartz is
well.
also a
Parako, I think, has been out as well. I don't know if he was back in
Pareko
the
is
home.
the guy that they thought was going to take over for Peter Angelo, and he's out, so that's a very good point too.
And Gunnarsson, Bozak, and Barbashev are also all out of the
Yeah,
lineup as
yeah,
well.
there's a lot of injuries there, so we'll see what happens when they get that back on track. That is a lot of injuries for any team, so before we go off all nilly nilly writing off St. Louis, let them get healthy and we'll see what happens. But I was my main concern was having what's his name? That's what I mean as the backup for
Oh,
Bennington. Yeah,
Huso.
Huso. That was my main concern as to why I was concerned.
Yeah, yeah, that's been a big story. Huso 875, 374, 2-2. You can't keep playing Bennington. Like you're gonna kill the man out there if you're gonna continue playing him. He's been great, but
Yeah,
you can't play him every single game and expect good numbers out of Bennington.
yeah,
So I think you got to look at some starting goalies or some good backups. It was bad that you had to trade away Jake Allen. I think it was kind of a bad move, but I mean you needed to clear up cap space. And it sucks, but Huso has just not been their guy as a backup goalie there in St. Louis, and they need to find someone to be a backup because I think that's the reason why they're losing a lot of these games is because Binnington's tired and they can't rely on Huso
yeah.
to win them a game. So
Hmm.
you have to keep playing Binnington until you get that W, and then you play Huso.
Yeah.
It's kind of a risk, but
Okay, the next couple games will go over quick. We got 15 minutes to go through them. Golden
mhm.
Knights versus Avalanche. I got to say, Golden Knights surprised me last night. Avalanche didn't play poorly, but after the kind of fiasco, I guess you would say, of course they were closer to home with that game. And anyways, last night Fleury played unreal. Fleury is amazing. The way
I know
his
you
competitive.
always hate on him.
I don't. He's my favorite player in
Well,
the league.
I've always loved Fleury. I think people were hating on him a lot last year, especially for his numbers last year, which is the reason why they picked up Laner.
His
But
dad died, man. He's an emotional dude. What are you gonna do, right?
yeah. Oh no, not
Yeah,
definitely not saying anything
yeah,
wrong about Fleury and his stuff last year,
yeah,
but they picked up Laner to be a big guy for them. Of course, Laner's been out with an injury, and
yeah.
ever since then, ever since Fleury's taken over,
It's like Flurry said, you know what? You can sign Laner all you want. You're gonna regret. Like I'm taking the number one spot here.
and I think you will regret it. A 942 save percentage this year, a 155 goals against. I've always been a big fan of Fleury and always have been, always will be. And with the fiasco that was going on last year between Vegas and Fleury was kind of concerning a little bit for for the people. But seeing what the Vegas Golden Knights are doing now, especially with Fleury and the numbers that they're putting up, Vegas is a very scary team. I think they're a very good contender in bringing that cup home, especially if you have Fleury and Laner as your tandem. I think Vegas, especially going up against Colorado, because who would you rather have, Grubauer or Fleury? Like Grubauer, or Frank
Oh,
Coons, or
for
Fleury
sure,
and Laner.
for
I'd
sure,
rather have
for
Fleury and
sure.
Laner going into a
For
playoffs.
sure, that's about the only place though, and there's Colorado, and Colorado improve in the goaltending area before the by the deadline as well. There's another team that might be in there for a goaltender. If they happen to get improved goaltending, they're almost
Grubauer actually hasn't been that bad
they're
this year, though.
they're
I'll give
no
him that.
they're as of right now they're probably going to keep on rolling with Gerbauer, but they could be a team that's in on a Bernier or a Grice too to have because
Yeah.
Francouz is injured too often. Grubauer has been known to be injured as well, so they could be in on something like that if they got consistent goaltending. And Grubauer didn't
Hmm.
play bad last night. Vegas just had was just flowing last night is the best way
And
I
they
can
were.
put it.
And,
They
and
were just
and this is
flowing
the
last
first
night.
couple games back for Colorado as well because they took a big break and then they had the outdoor game. So they'll get back in the swing of things. They're going up against the Minnesota Wild in the 20 tomorrow, and then they got Arizona on a back to back. So if they are able to, they should be able to pull out these next couple games, which they should be because they need to start winning some games and start climbing back up in that into those standings as they're right now third. I mean, they should be above St. Louis, especially if you look at winning percentage. They should be second, but Colorado, I'm not too worried about them. It's a loss. They'll bounce back. It's the Colorado Avalanche. They got Nate McKinnon.
Yeah,
I'm not too worried about them.
they got a lot.
They got a lot of good stuff.
There's like that defense. That defense is unbelievable. With
Oh, it's so unbelievable. Devin Taves, the most underrated defenseman I think on that team.
yeah,
So great.
yeah, 2 seconds, 2 seconds.
Oh, 2 seconds for that guy. Cannot believe New York gave up Devin Taves. He was one of their best defenders, and I still cannot believe Colorado got him. I still cannot believe.
For two
Joe
seconds.
Sakic. Never trade with Joe Sakic. He'll rip you off.
Yeah, Bowen Byram looks unbelievable. It's
What a deal.
but
What a deal. I thought Bowen Bryant might have been like not as great because that draft was a little bit downplayed, but seeing Bowen Bryant in the World Juniors and seeing how well he's been playing there for Colorado, he's going to be a stud alongside of Kelmaker. That defensive core is going to be insane. And then you especially have Devin Taves locked up at a great contract, 4.1 for the next 4 years. I mean, Colorado is a dynasty in the making. If they don't win the Stanley Cup this year, they'll probably win it next year
oh yeah,
without a doubt.
for sure. And then you still don't even have Johnson in the lineup. And my gosh, what a crazy, crazy lineup. Anyways, let's get to our next game. That crazy game, Anaheim versus the Coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta respect the work ethic of this Arizona team. Uh,
Yeah, without a doubt.
Rick Tocchet has got these guys believing in themselves. They're working their tail off, and they never give up. Never give up.
Yeah,
Just
I
like the way Rick Tocchet played.
Yeah, well, without a doubt, I watched the first period of the game, and it was a domination from the Anaheim Ducks. It looked like the Anaheim Ducks were going to take this game. Silverberg and Jones getting the first 2 goals of the game, and then at the ending of the first, there was 2 fights. Lawson Cross stepped up, and also John Hayden. Lawson Cross absolutely beat the crap out of I think it was Grant. A couple big punches there by Cross, kind of got the Arizona Coyotes kind of pumped up. Second period, they came flying. I didn't really watch too much of the second period, but it looked like they were absolutely flying. Dvorak putting up a couple big ones, especially an empty net or a shootout or a penalty shot goal as well, because he got a shorthanded goal, which was a penalty shot because he got hooked and he dangled Gibson, absolutely dangled him. And Dvorak was a big player for the Arizona Coyotes to step up this year, I feel, because Dvorak was not playing as great last year. His first 2 years in the NHL, they were looking for a bit more of a step up, and this year, Dvorak has stepped up immensely for the Arizona Coyotes. I think this entire team is bought into the Rick Tocchet system, and they're really starting to play good from Garland to Schmaltz to Keller. Just about everyone on this team is buying into this Coyotes system, and Armstrong did a great job picking up the right pieces for this
Yeah,
team
yeah,
to make it what it is now.
yeah. They picked up one of the. I'll get to your question here in a second, NHNR. Uh, they picked up one of the hardest working guys in the NHL in Pitlick too. I mean that guy.
Yeah.
We saw him in Edmonton, right? I didn't like it whether he had to leave. He's the kind we need a Pitlick in energy in that's the kind of guy I'm talking about down in our bottom four that can skate and just
That's
play.
why I like Josh Archibald
Yeah,
in Edmonton.
Archibald is a lot like that as well. Yeah, but we could just use a little more like that, I think. As far as which team works harder, Hurricanes or the Coyotes, it appears that the Coyotes do, just simply because they probably don't have as much offense and
Yeah, they don't have as much gifted talent.
what they have to do to succeed, right? But it may be just in an appearance because the Carolina Hurricane worked very hard as well.
Yeah, well, you look at Carolina; they got a lot of great talent on that team with Aho and Chevy there, and you got a lot of good players that look great. In Arizona, you got really good players there in Arizona, but these guys have to work their butts off if they want to win games, and it seems like that's what the Arizona Coyotes are doing right now. Kemper played huge. to really shut the door down for the rest of the game. And this Arizona Coyotes team, they're a sleeper. Also, Trevor
I was
Zegras
just going to
made his
mention
debut.
that. Yeah, good.
He did good. I'm liking the way that he was playing. I mean, it's his first game. Probably wasn't expecting a point, but he almost would have. Silverberg, the first goal of the game there, Silverberg pickpocketed one of the Arizona Coyotes players and almost ended up on Zegras' tape, but Silverberg took the shot anyways before Zegras was able to get a handle of it. So Silverberg kind of stole a goal away there from Zegras.
Yeah.
But he didn't do too bad. I'm excited to see him get his first point in the NHL, but he was out there.
You got to give Anaheim credit. They did put up a good fight considering they're out without Manson and Lindholm, two of their top four.
Yeah.
So, pretty tough to win against too many teams in the league without two of your top four defensemen. And especially when you're not really, that stacked anywhere in your lineup. Trevor Zegras did, he played well. He got his feet wet. It'll be interesting to see how he keeps on going there. It'll be nice to get him in there and hopefully get some minutes so Sam Steele doesn't have to play 20 minutes in a night. He's not ready for that uh,
Hmm.
kind of did. And what did Getzlaw play? 16 minutes. So yeah, they're trying to make Sam Steele their number one, but he's not going to be that for you. Dvorak scored another two last night. Is that right? For
Yeah.
9 goals
Yeah.
on the season, that is freaking awesome.
Yeah. That was a big player that I think Dvorak was a big player that they needed him to step up, and because they needed a big centerman to step up, and Dvorak has been
Absolutely, yeah,
that guy for them.
yeah.
I mean, they've been having so many players stepping up for them. I mean, even Phil Kessel has been producing a bit more than what he was last year. Keller, Turin, I mean, Schmaltz. I mean, just so many great players there in Arizona stepping up and playing good hockey, and they need to continue that. This team could possibly make it back into the playoffs again, and that would be amazing for that team.
They could the way they keep on going here. I don't even know if it's best for them. I don't know what to do with Arizona, just because really it almost seems like they should still get high draft picks to get even more talent in there. But as long as Rick Tocchet is your coach, that may never happen. Um,
But I mean, well, I mean, you have no top pick anyways this year, so play
yeah,
your butts off this
you
year.
have
Try
no
to
reason to
make
do
it
it. Yeah,
because Chayka kind of
yeah.
screwed you over.
Right. Okay. So we're gonna play who's gonna win tomorrow. Okay. And what the
Perfect.
scores are going to be. Whoever's in there, I want you all. Everybody else puts their who I don't know who's still in here. Whoever's in here, you tell us who you think is going to be too. We're starting off with Buffalo versus New Jersey.
Ooh, I think this game. I don't know. The Buffalo Sabres haven't been scoring very well. New Jersey, on the other hand, they've been playing a good defensive game as well. I think this game, I think it's going to be a close one, but I'm going to give the edge to the New Jersey Devils just because they've been playing really well out of the late. They pushed the Washington Capitals to a 4-3 win there for the Capitals. I'm going to go with the Devils. I'm going to do 3-1 for the Devils.
3-1 for the Devils. Okay, you guys out there, if you're out there right now, put your pick in for tonight. Um, The thing is, Buffalo's on a back to back here. That's my main thing.
Yeah,
Carter Hutton will likely be in net. And
yeah,
I just can't pick Buffalo when Carter Hutton's in net.
yeah. I agree.
The odds of Carter Hutton winning another game are pretty low. I don't even know as it is because Carter Hutton, if we remember, his excuse over the offseason was he had to get eye surgery, right? He couldn't see the puck very
Yeah,
well or something like
I,
that.
I
That-
yeah, I think he got eye surgery or something. I mean, it's definitely it's it's tough. Hutton's a little older. The reason why I think Hutton did so well was because when he was in St. Louis, it was one of the best defensive teams there in St. Louis, and Hutton was a backup, and he did really well at being a backup. And Hutton's now having to take more of a role there in Buffalo, and especially with all the injuries he's been having over his career, I just don't think he'll be able to backstop it, especially with Mackenzie Blackwood starting for the Devils. I think no matter what, I think I'm gonna have to go 3-1 for the Devils for sure. especially with Hutton in the net. I don't think you could trust that guy.
Yeah, I got 4-1 Devils for that reason. I could even see because Blackwood is in for New Jersey. Buffalo is tired. I could see even 3. I could see this being a shutout.
Yeah, I could see this being a shutout as well with
Yeah.
Blackwood in the net, especially.
Okay, NHNR, what are you doing, buddy? You're the one. Oh, you did. Devils. Okay, win 4-1. He did 4-1. CL says 3-1. And, okay, we did that. So we'll go to the next game.
Pittsburgh
Penguins
versus
and
Washington.
Capital. Okay, talk about Penguins and Capitals. I'm going to be doing this game with the goat tonight.
Ooh, that should
Off
be a
the
fun one.
off the wall hockey. We're going to be doing this game at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Uh, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. my time. This is a really. I'm going to let you flow with
Oh,
this. Maybe you'll get me leaning somewhere. I'm not even sure about this game.
I'm looking at it. I'm like, I see Jari will make his fifth straight start. And I'm like, oh, Jari's numbers are not very good. And then Benesic, who, at some moments of time, this is a tough one. I think I am leaning more towards the Washington Capitals in this game, just because I think they've had the number of the Pittsburgh Penguins majority of the games. Yeah, one win against Pittsburgh, a loss against Pittsburgh. Ooh, oh man, this is a tough one. I think Venisic's been playing a lot of games. Jari hasn't been doing too bad.
Is
Oh
it for
man,
sure that Venisec's going to be in?
yeah, it got confirmed.
Confirmed?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so Venisic will probably. Well, I mean, he's been playing majority of the games there for Washington, which is good for my fantasy because he's been getting me tons of points there. But I think I'm gonna have to go for Washington, and I think it's gonna be a high scoring game because Venisic hasn't been doing that great. He's been getting tired. Jari hasn't been doing that great either. They've been a lot of high scoring games between these two teams. Every game that they play, it's been high goal scoring. I think I'm gonna go 5-4 Washington in this one. I think I'm going to do that. It's going to be a high scoring game.
Okay, I think I'm going to go Pittsburgh because I think Vanecek is just getting, like, it's
Hmm.
starting. There's teams are starting to get a read on Vanecek now.
Yeah.
Sullivan's a fantastic coach. He's going to have the player, and Crosby can find reads and tell people what to do.
Yeah.
For that, I think it's going to be Pittsburgh, and I'm going to say 4-2.
4-2.
4-2 Pittsburgh, yeah, which would be an under for me. And I don't know why. Also Washington doesn't play tired very well, and they're playing 3 games in 4 nights.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's going to be a big game. I think you could go either way on this one. I think
Avi
even,
says 3-2 Buffalo. Avi's taking Buffalo to beat New Jersey.
and Avatar's also taking Washington 4-3 in overtime.
Oh, we got a
CL's
split.
Washington 5-3, and news reports taking Penguins 6-5.
Okay, well this will be interesting tomorrow to see who is right, who is correct on this one. All the overs here, over. I kind of get the over. I don't know. I just Washington when they're tired can't don't doesn't score as much usually, but
But I don't trust Jari in the net right now, man. 892 save percentage, and especially that defense there in Pittsburgh. I don't know. I
yeah.
think I think Washington will light it. I think it'll be a fun, entertaining goal scoring matchup between those two teams tonight.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. You guys come on out and watch with John from Off the Wall Hockey and I. We're going to do the
Hmm.
live together. It's going to be
I'll be
pretty
there. I'll
cool.
be in the chat watching for sure.
No doubt.
That'll be a
And
fun one.
also, Payton does lives too on YouTube now
Yeah,
too. So
I'll
we'll.
be doing one tonight.
Oh,
Oilers
will you?
versus the Canucks. Yeah, I'll also be having a special guest as well. Mark will be joining me during the intermission as
Oh,
well.
sweet.
So he's a Vancouver fan, so he'll be jumping in and we'll talk about how the game's going and stuff. So it should be exciting.
And a Wilson Tana fight too. Okay, that'll be fun. I hope we get a good scrap going
Oh well.
tonight.
Well, we've been
That'll
seeing a
be.
bit more scraps this year, especially the two in the Arizona Anaheim game. I would love to see some scraps in that Pittsburgh Washington game. It'll be an exciting one for sure.
For sure. Okay, we got a few more games here, so we better get going. The Blackhawks versus the Blue Jackets. What do you got?
I'm picking Chicago. Lankinen starting in net. Corpusalo is confirmed for Columbus, so I'm automatically gonna pick Chicago on this one. I've been loving Kevin Lankinen's game. I've just been loving Chicago's game just in general out of the late as well. So I think I gotta go with Chicago on this one. The score, I think with Chicago, they have been able to score. They haven't been able to keep the puck out of the net, but you're going up against a team there in Columbus who has not been able to score a lot of goals. And especially going up against the Chicago Blackhawks, it seems like the Blackhawks has kind of had a little bit of the number. They've been 500 against each other. So I think I'm going to go with this game 3-2 for Chicago. I think it's going to be a close one, but I'm going to go 3-2 for Chicago.
Oh, look at that. Hockey News Reports thinks it's going to be an over and in OT, and the Hawks win
Mm.
in OT. Uh, the Tanev got destroyed by Cizikas in a fight. Avatar says 3-1 Hawks. I'm leaning more like where Avatar is, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Um, I,
yeah,
Corpusalo, I just don't have faith in him right now. I don't like the
not me
Columbus
neither.
energy. Ever since that
Hmm.
trade happened, there seems to be a lot of things to be worked out there. Not to
Yeah.
mention Werenski and Savard are out for Columbus. That is just what we were talking about with Anaheim having your two of your top six out. Yeah, I'm going to say 4-1 Chicago.
Hockey
Close.
said 5-2 Columbus.
5-2
Whew.
Columbus. I'd like to know why you would think that, my friend. That's interesting.
That is
Uh,
very interesting,
yeah.
especially with Luckinen in the net. Do you think is Luckinen's going to get that pelleted out there?
Lankinen's gonna maybe Lankinen's been rolling pretty good, and Columbus has a read on Lankinen now.
Yeah, maybe they studied a lot of tape and they know what they need to do.
He thinks Line is gonna have a big night. Okay. Yeah, the thing with the Lion A there is he doesn't have a center to play with, really. Roslovic is looking good, but I mean, you can't call him a number one center yet. That's the difficulty there in Columbus. But I mean, with that shot, Lion can always have a big night. I
Oh
just,
yeah.
I just think if Columbus wins, it's probably going to be because they end up going on the power play. And
Hmm.
Chicago's not really, from what I remember, a very high penalty team right now. They're being pretty disciplined. Am I right?
I think so. I don't think they're taking very many penalties from what I know.
Yeah.
I
But
think their PK hasn't been that bad. Their power play has been crazy good. So if Columbus takes a couple penalties, 32% on the power play, and their PK hasn't been too bad there in Chicago either, 80% on the PK. So if they are able to kill off the penalties and able to rip it up on the power play there for Chicago, I think they got the win 3-1. And CL is taking Columbus 3-2 as well.
CL's taking Columbus 3-2.
So it's a
Wow.
split in the chat for Columbus, Chicago as well.
He thinks Chicago's going to fall off big time. I mean, I could
You
see
know, that is a
that
possibility.
for
That is a
sure, for
possibility.
sure. That D line doesn't scream success in the long term, does it?
Yeah,
Really?
I don't think so.
No. Yeah,
You
but
got Connor Murphy and Dehan playing great. Keith has been trash, and everyone else has been. Murphy and Dehan have been your top two defensemen, and having those guys as your top two defensemen is not bad. They're top four, but eh, I think
they're
Chicago will pull
they're
it out though.
playing great team defense. Even Kane is coming back deep to give the defensemen more options and stuff like that right now. That's really what the heart of what's uh, the heart there. And then they're getting timely goals by Pius Suter. How long is that going to hold up for though?
I
Is
think Piers Suter hasn't been scoring as much as usual lately. And that's the big thing, right? You have guys that have like Kursov, Suter, who are playing out of their minds right now. Are you going to have those guys continue to produce,
yeah,
right? Like that's the big thing. Suter had a great first game, and so far from there, he hasn't been producing as much.
yeah,
He is his last goal he scored was against Columbus on February 11th. He hasn't scored a goal in a couple weeks now, or in a week or so now. So
yeah.
we'll have to see where they get that offense from, and especially from Suter and Korsov, where will they get that offense? And if and hockey said DeBrick it's a bust. Woo.
Whoa, what?
That's
Okay.
a spicy hot
Okay,
take.
now we're talking about a guy who just doesn't like Chicago.
I think so. Are you an Oilers fan? Did you?
This is just somebody who doesn't like Chicago, for sure.
What are you
Uh,
talking about? 18 points in 15 games. Brickett's
yeah,
been a
he's a
beast since he
bust.
stepped
Yeah,
in.
he's a bust.
He's a bust.
Maybe he
He
meant
did
to write beast, but it did autocorrect or something.
maybe.
No, I don't think so. I think
Maybe general.
Nico Heischer will be fine too. No. Okay, well, that's interesting. I think
And
that
very hot
Chicago
takes.
will likely fall off myself. I do agree. But I don't think tonight. And that's just simply because Columbus hasn't really had, until I see a different energy from Columbus right now, they look
Yeah.
disheveled. And
Yeah.
you compound that with without Rorensky. Come on. Rorensky.
Their
He's one
best
of,
defenseman.
he's
If
their
you're
best
relying on
defense.
Seth Jones, I'm sorry, Seth Jones is not your man to carry that defense core. Werenski
Is their best
is
defenseman.
their best defenseman,
No doubt about it.
without a doubt.
No, you have a Kane jersey. Okay, this is just his take. It's his take. He's got a Kane jersey. He's not against. You're an Islanders fan. Okay.
Hmm.
But I do think that they probably will fall off. I just can't see these rookies being able to keep on playing to this
Yeah.
level in the NHL for an extended period of time. I just don't think it's against Columbus here. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. This could be all starting to fall apart. But like we said, Wierenski, I don't think he's just the best defenseman on Columbus. He's one of the top, maybe could you almost top five defensemen in the league. Darn
I
close.
I don't think so
Top
yet. I
top
think
10
he's
for sure. Top 10
I
for
think
sure.
I don't know about top 10 necessarily yet. He's still a young guy. I think he's up there in the league. I would say like top 20 defenseman, he's up there.
Top
But I
15
don't
for
think he's a
sure.
top 5 guy just yet or even top 10.
Top 10. I
He's
think he's
getting
top
up
10.
there. He's young. He could potentially be a top
Well, we'd have
defenseman,
to go
but
through all the defensemen in the league and figure out what it is.
yeah,
But
look at the analytics and
yeah. He's got crazy
analyze it.
good analytics. Jones does not, and that's really the
Oh,
problem there.
Jones is not. Why are people saying that stars are trash? I don't think the stars are
I
trash.
think I think
They're just getting bad luck.
you can't judge by all the crap that they've gone through. I
Yeah,
will say that
postponements and injuries
I will
and
say that I don't think the Stars are a championship team, and the
yeah,
fact that they made the finals, they were outshot like crazy. They shouldn't have made the finals that year. They got lucky a lot, and they beat up teams until they
they're a playoff style team. They're definitely not a regular season team. They're that playoff style team that
yeah
wins games by playing defense and getting like the odd goals here and there.
they play too much defense. They allow too many shots, and that's just not going to win you a cup.
And
Cup.
especially with Sagan and Radulov out of the lineup too, which we were talking about at the starting of the show. We were talking about Sagan and Radulov being out, and Radulov being a big hit there for the team, especially offensively.
All right. Okay, let's get to another game here. Senators versus Canadians, and the what's your pick on that? And it's going to depend on if Murray or
Murray
Decord.
Murray says he's gonna be starting. I see here it says likely, but if it's Decord, even if it's Matt Murray, I feel like Montreal's gonna win this game. I feel like Montreal's not gonna mess around this game. They can't. They lost against last game against the Ottawa Senators. They cannot mess around. I think this is always tough because Ottawa can totally surprise me, but I think I'm gonna go 5-1 Canadians. Price is in the net, so I think he'll let in like 1 or 2 goals. But I'm gonna go 5-1 Canadians in this one. I even if Decord's in
Oh,
the net,
really? That
I
much?
think 5-1.
I think it's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
lot closer than that. I think Ottawa's going to keep this close again. I think Ottawa's going to be keeping a lot of games close for a lot of teams in the future as we go along here. Montreal's got to learn how to work hard again. They
Yeah.
started trying to be an offensive team, and they're not. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
Toffoli's
Yeah.
not going to have a 45% shooting percentage or what. I don't think it's that high, but it's got to be pretty close
He's got most of
forever.
his goals against. He got most of his goals against Vancouver too. So I mean, like, I think he's only scored. what is it now? He has 11 goals on the year. I think he scored a good eight or so of those goals have been against Vancouver.
3-0 Habs. Yeah, they have. Yeah. NHNR says 3-2 Habs. I'm leaning something like that.
Hockey
One
said
goal game.
4-3 overtime Ottawa. That is totally a chance. That is
That
that is
that
believable.
I think it's going to
Four
be
two
like
Canadians.
I like 3-2. What NHNR says for the
Yeah.
Habs. Avatar says 4-2 Canadians. I could that's kind of in the same ballpark. What did somebody say? That implicit hockey said that he thinks the Islanders are going to win this year or next year. I don't see that, but
I don't see it,
interesting.
but you know what? They could pull off a Dallas. That's the thing I could see them doing is pulling off a Dallas because Islanders are a playoff team. They made it to the conference finals last year. I don't think this year, but I think if they were to improve the team a little bit and get that more of that depth going, I think they could totally be honestly a cup winning team, especially with Barzell on that team. I think they possibly could, and Sorokin hasn't been looking too bad, so it's a possibility.
I think Sorokin's going to be a beast. It's just taking a little bit. Like you
It's an
can't put
adjustment.
up, you can't put up those unbelievable numbers in the KHL and not be at least good. But I think he's going to be.
It's
I
an
think he's
adjustment.
going
It's
to.
just like Koskinen when he came over. He wasn't looking the greatest when he came over from the K to the NHL. Now he's looking not that bad. So you just have to kind of ease him in. You got Varlamov, who's been looking fantastic this year. So
Yeah.
I'm not too worried for them.
Now next year, he said, I don't. This year, me. It depends on who they add. They need to add. You can't have Pageau playing with Wallstrom and
Well, I
who
think
else.
Wallstrom will jump up. I think Wallstrom will jump
Yeah,
up from
but
this year to
right
next year.
now they
So
can't. Right now
no,
they
no.
can't have him playing with Wallstrom and whoever
I
on that
totally
other
agree with
side.
you, Hockey. I think Wallstrom will be definitely a top six player next year for the team,
We'll
without a
see.
doubt.
We'll see. I think he's got a lot of work to do, Wallstrom, to get to that top six spot. He's his hockey IQ has me wondering what he's going to be.
He's a young guy
Uh,
though. He's only
he's
20, so
yeah,
I
he's got the tools. He's got the tools for sure. He didn't put up huge numbers in the AHL so far. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think Wallstrom didn't do too bad. I mean, AHL is always, yeah, in the Swedish league before coming over this year, he had 8 points in 10 games. The
That's pretty
AHL,
good.
he had 22 points in 45 games in his first
Yeah,
full season there in the AHL, which is not terribly bad,
it's
especially
not
for
bad.
a guy
No.
like him. Yeah, he's slowly improving. He's only 20, so
Yeah.
maybe they played him a bit too early, but I mean, 3 points in 11 games is not that bad for a young player like him. He's only going to go up from here, I think. I think Wallstrom will be great. And Pajot, yeah, Pajot has been great for the last few games. We were actually talking about how well Pajot has been for that team and how he needed to step up, and he's been doing great there for the Islanders.
Right. Okay. Let's get to our other games because we're gonna run late again here if we don't.
Hmm.
Predators versus the Wings.
Oh God. Oh man, this is a tough one. So it says Rene is likely, Bernier is unconfirmed. So no, no, we don't know what's going to start him for Detroit. This is a tough one because there's two bad teams, two teams that don't look very good. I might have to lean on Detroit in this one, honestly. I might pull on Detroit. Uh, they've been kind of back and forth. I mean, they've only played twice between Nashville. I think I'm gonna pick Detroit on this one. I think they're gonna win 2-1 Detroit. I think it's gonna be a close one. I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I think I'm gonna go 2-1 Detroit.
Wow. Implicit hockey says 4-1
4-1.
Wings. Wow.
Well, that's. I mean, if Renee, I mean, if you start Saros, maybe Renee. I don't know. I don't know if you'd be able to score that many goals on Renee, especially with Washington. 7-1.
No.
Wow. Red Wings
Wow.
over the Preds.
I
Big
think
numbers.
I think the Predators are gonna win this game. I
Oh,
think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be low scoring though.
it is gonna be low
Uh,
scoring.
Stetcher's out. I mean, Detroit has Bertuzzi out. They have too much offense out to score much,
Hmm.
I think. And the Preds got their mojo going against Columbus the last game, and I think they might be able to roll it enough to win this game. But I think it's going to be like 2-1, 3-1, something like that
Yeah.
for Nashville over Detroit. Um, 4-2, everybody's taking the Wings. And I don't blame you because Nashville really has underperformed
Yeah.
this year too. Like really has been. The last win against Columbus, I saw Nashville playing with a different energy. I can't see them losing that energy that bad, but I will say this: if they do, forget about it. I think Nashville's going to be the worst team in the league this year. This is a
Oh,
game
without a
that
doubt.
Nashville has got to be ultra competitive in.
Yeah,
They got to
without a
have a
doubt.
lot of fight in this game. And Detroit, they both of these teams also. The reason why I'm saying it'll be a low scoring game, both of these teams have played 4-6. I think this is going to be boring as hell to
I
watch.
think so. I totally agree with you. I think it's going to be a very dry, boring game between these two.
Yeah,
It's going to be low goal scoring. I don't think it's going to be a 7-1 game, but you never know. Maybe Detroit absolutely pops off in this game tonight.
I hope you guys are wrong about those scores because I've got large pearls on the under in this game. So yeah, Renee, I hope your 39-year-old knees hold up for this one. The Preds going through what the Sharks did last season, what the Sharks are doing this season. How about that? The Sharks are looking absolutely diabolical. Did we even talk about that game? We didn't even talk about that game, did we?
No, no, we passed over the Sharks mini game, I think.
Minnesota San Jose last night. Shoot. Well, I'll just
Kaprizov
say
popped off and
there wasn't much to talk about. Mini just totally
yeah,
outplayed them in
destroyed,
every aspect
steamrolled.
of the game. Steamrolled them. Sharks look absolutely horrible. I doubt that they're. I mean, already. Uh, what's his name? What's the coach for the San Jose Sharks? Why do I always forget
Oh,
his name?
Or
Bugner.
Bob Booner.
Bob Bugner is already probably on the chopping block, although it won't matter. Yeah,
I
they're
think they'll
terrible.
keep
They're
him. I
terrible.
mean, what else can you do there in San Jose? Just
Not
I might as well keep Bob Booner and just keep going, rebuild. It's the
yeah.
best thing to do there in San Jose.
Slow rebuild
Oh, it
there in
will be.
San Jose. Gonna suck for the next 10 years, probably. Okay, finally, Oilers Canucks,
Ooh, baby.
and we have what? Bear out, Lagesson out.
Hmm. Jones
Um,
is slipping in, I think, with Bouchard. I think Bear might be returning tonight, though. I think Bear might be back in the lineup. I know
uh,
Neil is out, but I'm not too sure about Bear. I don't know if it's a guarantee just yet on that
I'm gonna
fact.
look up here. Last I saw, there Bear was not going to be in. So, uh,
Oh, here you go. Ethan Bear can also return to the lineup tonight if he receives clearance this afternoon. So
oh,
Bear Smith is in the net tonight. James Neal will not be in the lineup. So we'll have to see. I don't know what the lineups totally are yet, though. I know Cuckoo. Legason will not be ready for tomorrow as well. So he's not going to be in the lineup. So Bear might be a possibility. But if not, you'll probably see the Russell Larson and Jones and Bouchard. I'm most likely guessing for the defensive pairings.
Russell Larson. Oh,
I like the defensive pairing. Honestly, I've been liking Russell
uh,
and Larson. I know as an Oilers fan, I think Vancouver's been here and there lately,
just
here
wait a
and
sec
there.
before you go on. Not only is Savard and Werenski out tonight for Columbus, so is Del Zotto too.
Oh, jeez.
They have no defense on there for sure.
So
Chicago all day. Chicago's gonna win that all day long.
Vancouver, they need a win here tonight. I think it's going to be a very high scoring game. I think there's going to be a lot of goals being scored in this game. But Vancouver's been off and on, and especially since Vancouver cannot contain defensively, I think I'm going to have to choose the Edmonton Oilers on this one. Thatcher Demko's the starting goalie, but Thatcher Demko hasn't been the greatest goalie there for Vancouver. I think I'm going to choose 6-4 between the Oilers and Vancouver. It's going to be a very high scoring game, but I'm going to have to choose the Oilers over the Canucks in this one.
The Canucks' energy has just been garbage.
It
The
has been.
Oilers have actually looked really pretty
They,
good
yeah,
the last couple games. If Bears in back, I'm going to take the Oilers here. Uh, Smith, man. Smith,
Smith
please.
has been hot lately, but you
Hot and
never know. He
cold.
could have an off night and totally be a bomb show out there. But it's up to Smith. It's up to the goaltending, really. If Smith plays fantastic, then you're going to be seeing a very low scoring game for Vancouver. But if Smith doesn't play very good, you're going to be seeing a very, very high scoring game.
Implicit hockey says 6-3 Canucks. I don't see it.
7-4
Uh,
Canucks.
7-4 Canucks.
I mean, this game is going to be high score no matter which way, no matter which team wins. I think it's going to be a very high scoring game.
Maybe. Demko, I mean, when is Demko going to become Demko, or is it just because
I think it's the
their
defense.
team defense has just been so brutal that
Demko
it's
has a 901 save percentage. I mean, it's not bad, but Vancouver places 31st in goals against this year, 30th right now actually. Right? Like their team defense is terrible. So I don't know. I think Demko will jump back up. He's still young. I think it's just the defense is so bad there, and they're just not a cohesive unit there in Vancouver right now. I think I don't know. Maybe Demko will rebound. My favorite player is Jeff Skinner.
yeah, I didn't say. I think I got 5-2 Oilers.
5-2 Oilers.
And I
Patterson
don't know
wins.
why. I just think Smith's going to have a good night for some reason. But honestly, any of these things that you just picked with these two teams, the way they've been inconsistent this year, could be anything.
It could go either way.
It could be 2-1. Like nothing would surprise me with the Oilers in
I
Vancouver.
mean, we
Like
seen it on Friday. A very quiet game between the Oilers and the Flames. McDavid and Draisaitl didn't even get a point, and we won 2-1 against the Flames. So
yeah,
the Oilers have been playing good defensive hockey. So we'll have to see how well Vancouver is able to deal with that because of the fact that Vancouver hasn't been able to play very well defensively either. So it's going to be an entertaining game. I can't wait. I'm going to be live streaming it, so it should be a fun one. Either you'll be seeing me getting angry or happy. It'll be either or.
yeah. Um, Biggest topic on live stream Skinner and everyone, then Skinner and then everyone else. Yeah, everybody loves to talk. Just imagine being Skinner right now, eh?
Oh man, going
Everywhere,
on social media and you being bashed. Oh,
especially being Skinner in Buffalo. I
oh
mean,
god.
Buffalo has the most unbelievable fan base for sports in general. Like, and have you heard like some of the most epic rants have been from random people doing call-ins that have gone viral talking about the Buffalo Sabres. Like, I could just imagine the vitriol that Skinner's getting from everybody. He can't go anywhere. I wouldn't even doubt if people are yelling at him on the street here, there in Buffalo, right?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the Buffalo's been it. I think Buffalo's like a Canadian team almost because they're so close near Canada. They deal with so much hard media, and the franchise has just been a perennial dumpster fire for a long time now. And
Yeah.
it, I mean, I think the gasket's about to blow there in Buffalo.
Oh, try to guess who my favorite player is on the Islanders. It's
I
hard. So it's not going to be somebody
It's not
regular.
going to be Barzell. I think
I'm going to say Bailey.
I'm going to go with Dobson. Noah Dobson.
Oh yeah, I love Dobson. I'm going
I
to go
love
with
Dobson.
Bailey. Either that or maybe you're a fourth line guy. You're probably going to be like
Like a Clutterbuck.
Chernak,
Clutterbuck.
Clutterbuck or something like that.
Imagine if Jeff Skinner was in Toronto, that 9 million contract. Steve Dangle wouldn't even. He would be screaming at the camera every day, man, without a doubt. I'm pretty sure if Jeff Skinner was on my team, I would be screaming every day. Like started off the video with Jeff Skinner was a healthy scratch, guys. nine
Yeah,
million dollar healthy scratch.
yeah. Beauvillier. Okay, that's a good one. Uh, I would say it would be like when Lucic was on our team,
Oh,
pretty
I hated.
much.
I complained about him every day.
Me too. It's like the first thing I thought of when I woke up.
I woke up, Lucic.
I
Damn, man.
check my phone to see if Lucic got traded, and if
Dude,
not,
I was so happy when Lucic got traded that morning. I'm like, look at my phone. I'm like, Lucic for
yeah,
Neil. It's 1-for-1.
woohoo!
No way. Hang on. No way. This is true. No
Yeah,
way. Calgary just took Lucic off our hands. No way. Oh man,
crazy cool. All
still
right.
still
Well,
surprises me to this
we
day.
can do this all again tomorrow, boys and girls. Thank you very much for coming in and watching this fine programming. Peyton, you'll be off doing other things tomorrow, right? Going to
Yeah, I'll
school
be
and
off
stuff like
doing
that.
school. The typical.
check out his live Edmonton Vancouver tonight. He's
Should
going
be
to
a
be
fun one.
doing some play-by-play with a guest. I'll probably, if I can, I'll be. I think will they be over? I don't think they'll be overlapping. I'll be doing
No,
with
no.
off the wall hockey tonight. So
If you want to
uh,
jump in during the intermission, I could totally have you on during one of the intermissions there. Talk some
that
hockey for a bit. That'd
would
be
be
fun.
cool.
You could jump in
Well,
during the second intermission because I'm planning on having Mark during the first intermission, and then you could jump on during the second.
oh, we'll see if we can do that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to coax my wife into letting me have a full day. I haven't even made anything to eat tonight. So anything. I've been hockey from 8:30 this morning. I did Isaiah from O&B podcast. Then, by the way, Jim Jackson. Go over to steelflyers.com. We had Jim Jackson on for talking about the Philadelphia Flyers. He's the voice of the Flyers on NBC. Go check out that video. It was freaking awesome. And then after that, I did this pretty much. So, and now I'm doing the live tonight. So, woo! Lots of fun. Uh, he's going to check out your stream. Cool. Payton on the radio.
5 and
Have a
8
great,
p.m. Mountain Time, 10 p.m. Eastern.
awesome. Make sure you go over to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the like for everything. Love you guys for coming in and supporting us. It's amazing. You guys are awesome.
It was a fun
Have a
stream.
great. That's our full 42 though. I gotta go pick up the wife. Have a great day. Lots of love to ya. Okay.
So.
Bye.